Hey everybody, how's it going? Let us know in the comments how you're doing, and I will let my
Sorry,
co-hosts introduce themselves. What?
The echo is my fault. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. Um, but Rach, you want to go, and then Laura, and then Maggie?
Sure. Let me see if I can get this straight. I'm Rachel D. Adams. I co-author with Don McClellan, and we have an urban fantasy paranormal romance series and a prequel series and a bunch of companion stories that we're doing that's out there for everybody to enjoy. And I also have a Substack for aggressively helpful writing advice, which I'm going to get started back up this month. Had to take a 2-month kind of hiatus with health issues and stuff, but coming back. So looking forward to it. And this is going to be my first time back for a while. So, and on to Laura.
Hi, I am Laura Nettles. I write a plethora of things, including horror. And yeah, I just flew back in last night from Boston, so I'm awake. But it was great fun. We went to Salem for a day, so that was really cool. Maggie.
All the research for all the horror writers.
Yeah.
My name is Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine, not overcomer today. I have books on my Amazon page, and tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I will be interviewing with a local Colorado writer. Michael Bochek is interviewing me as a Colorado local writer. So, Writer Sanctuary here on YouTube and Discord. Oh, and I have free books this weekend for the thing.
All the things.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't spend money, get free books.
I am writer Sam Wicker, and you're here on my channel, so welcome. I have 3 books out, and I wrote a short story in the Bog Hag anthology. So, yeah, I have free books as well. You can buy all of my ebooks for free from today until the 8th using this link right here if you want. And there are a whole bunch of authors with their books on sale via that link. So feel free to just browse and whatnot, see what you can get for free, see what you can get for 75% off, so on and so forth. And yeah. So what we do here at Breaking the Block is we help each other. And it's writers helping writers or creatives helping creatives. And we pull random questions from the internets. Or if we have random questions ourselves, we try to help each other out. If you have a question and you want to ask it, hit a Q in the chat and ask away, and we will try to get to it. So, first things first. This one right here is kind of a quote. I'm going to cover my face. No. Clarissa Pinkola Estes wrote in Women Who Run with the Wolves, art is not meant to be created in stolen moments only. When is it time for you to take a chance as a creative to quit your job? I think I pulled this from Reddit.
For me, it's a practical thing when you can support yourself, when you're available, when you're able to support yourself. You've got to have shelter, and you've got to have food, you've got to have clothing, you've got to be able to take care of your family. So, it's a practical situation when it comes to that. So for years, my art was done in this side, in stolen moments. What you have to do is to actually decide what's important to you. If it's okay, a stolen moment, great, but can you expand that stolen moment? Can you find another time frame that allows you to not just have a stolen moment, but a stolen hour or a stolen 2 hours? So there are a lot of authors that your full-time insert title, subtitle, novel wrote their first novel. And Tom Clancy's one of them. But
You sound like you're underwater.
Your microphone's acting up again.
okay, well, somebody else go for it because I'm not sure what's going on.
When the kids were still in school, I started the 5 a.m. Writers Club. I didn't write it all after college. I just made up stories for the kids, didn't write it all, didn't do anything until my stroke in 2015. And then after my stroke, I would write midday after all the farm chores were done. And I had a little bit of time. I would write midday, but I would also get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, start the wood burning stove, start getting the house warm before the kids got up. And I would spend an hour and a half, about 90 minutes writing when literally I was the only person awake. And that became the basis for my writing time that resulted in all of the huge backlog of words that I'm now editing. So, having a job, being a writer with a job and a life and a family and children, it's a thing of finding a time solution. It's like Sky only writes one day a week. So it's finding the time that works for you, because you need a little bit of personal time. And if the writing is the thing that fills your soul well, then do that with your personal time. If it's something else, don't take away from the thing that fills your well because you feel obligated to write, because it's a very difficult thing. And unfortunately, most of us don't have that winning lottery ticket, so we can just step back from life to take over that writing life, because living takes time, living takes money, and unfortunately most of us do not have the means to hire someone to do the life part of lifing while we do the writer part of lifing.
Do you want to try your microphone again?
Okay, how's this?
Good.
So it had traveled to default instead of the actual mic. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It happens. Laura, you want to add in your 2 cents, or?
So, I currently have all the time in the world to write as an unemployed person who was laid off. And do I spend all the time in the world writing? No. I find that I get most of my productivity done in the hours after work, because I will have spent all my hours at work gearing up mentally and being like, I'm so excited to write, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be so fun. And then once I get home, it's like the starting gun goes off, and it's like, write the stuff. And so that was really, really fun. And I find that when I have all the time in the world, the depression gets worse and steals away months at a time. But it's like, well, that's not productive. So, yeah, but it's a give and take. Like during the nano months, I would not watch TV at all. And so I would give up movies and television and stuff and just write for hours every evening. So, because I wanted to reach my goal. So, like, it doesn't have to be the job that gives way. it can be other things. It can be TV. It can be video games. It can be other things for stints. Um, so, yeah.
So I'm one of the lucky ones where I had circumstances where I could quit my job to become a full-time writer. I kind of wish I had somebody tell me the processes that you kind of have to have in place in order to become a full-time writer, especially with somebody that has anxiety and depression and prone to imposter syndrome. So if you find that you are financially stable enough and you have discussed it with your significant other or your family or those who are dependent upon you, and you find that you can quit your job, I would ask you to make sure that you have tools at the ready in order to take care of yourself mentally and emotionally while you are a full-time writer, because imposter syndrome is a thing, depression is a thing, anxiety whenever you're sharing your work and all that stuff is a thing. So make sure that you have the tools at the ready in order to help yourself succeed before you move into the full-time position of being a creative. That's my that's my 2 cents. Let's see. We've got Kappa, Cat, got Sako. Sako's been a freelance creative for 8 years. Yeah. And having multiple streams of income too is ideal as well, because you never know when your book sales might go down, but then your art sales or merch sales might pick up, or maybe your Medium articles or Substack subscriptions will go up too, to kind of fill in that hole. Sometimes it doesn't. So just having multiple streams of income that you can handle without burnout is very ideal too. Catpaw says, I only got back to writing and started writing fiction again after moving to Mexico in 2008. Then I was in an accident in 2014 and couldn't do anything else. I still want a solid part-time job. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know how it went in 2020 when the world fell apart, and then the panda followed. Yeah. And I couldn't write. Now I'm disabled. I need the safety net of another income, or I'm too stressed to watch. Yes. So yeah, definitely.
So what
having
we did
those
is,
extra tools.
yeah, it's like I got lucky enough to have a partner that's also very creative. And so he actually wound up in the right place at the right time to get the right training, so that he has a work from home situation so that it supports us. And then what we're trying to do is replace that income with what we're doing creatively. And like Sam said, we don't just write books. Like, we do all kinds of stuff. I've made money off of Medium, and I'm hoping to make money at some point off of Substack. I keep my eyes open for anything that I can do as far as publishing wide. And I also have been a proponent of him using his talents to go further with web design, especially for creatives, because a lot of people who are in web design and in IT don't get the creative mindset. They don't get what we need as far as what a website is, so and they're not very adaptable, whereas he understands it. So I was like, you've got that, let's do that. So I help him with that part of the business too, and that allows us a bit of freedom now, whereas before both of us were working full-time, if not more than full-time positions, just to get by. So yeah, always, that's very valid. You if you feel like you need that safety net, you need that safety net. That's absolutely fine. I was going to say something else, but I can't think of it. It just went right out.
Yeah, pulling the 80-hour work week, you're working like 2 part-time jobs, and then your jobs, that the writing and the side gigs and all that stuff, it's not fun. So yeah, take care of yourself. That's the main thing.
There are also some jobs that will allow you to write on the clock, like when you are the night desk person at a hotel or whatever. So there's a wide range of jobs. There's the jobs that are intense and you take home with you and they stick in your brain. And then there's the jobs that are just, yeah, I show up and then when I close the computer, when I leave the doors, I leave it behind. So like, you might need to go for a lower stress job if that's possible, if you want to have the mental capacity to be creative after work.
One of the best jobs that I know of for readers and writers is the desk clerk of a night at hotels.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard. I haven't done it yet, but I've heard. Yeah.
My husband used to do that. That was his 25-year gig. I mean, he did that for a long time, and he read so many books during that time. And yeah, sometimes it can be stressful, but yeah. Let's see. Angel says, for me, I started late in my writing career after quitting my old job and finding a 9-to-7 job that eventually got laid off last year before I got pregnant. Gotcha. Lower stress. What is that?
I know, right? Like, why did I always choose? I always wound up getting chosen or choosing jobs that were like high stress, or wound up I had to take stuff home, which I know is not right, but at the same time, sometimes you do. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Just because you have to grab like little moments too, doesn't mean that's bad, because it's like with me and Dawn, we were grabbing these little moments, but now we've got like 20 years worth of writing that we can grab and start working on, to edit. So it kind of, don't discredit the smaller moments of time that you can get something done, is all I meant to say.
Yeah, definitely. If you've only got 10 minutes a day, do it. Yeah.
And don't fall into those traps where you're throwing thousands of dollars at seminars that guarantee that life change and guarantee that after you take our seminar for all these thousands of dollars that you'll be a professional writer forever and you'll have that writer life dream, because yeah, you'll end up like my friend's husband and with $11,000 of unedited printed books in boxes in the garage and just sitting there until they get wiped out by a hurricane.
No boy, no.
Dawn says she gets to vent at her job. I agree. Let's see. Kat says, I've learned I don't want to be in management unless I own or it's a small company or business. Amen. I was miserable at Dollar General. Yeah. Ironically prefer cashiering to management. Yes, very much so. Management comes with particular stress levels in any job. Retail, yeah. Just I wouldn't risk retail on anybody. Yeah. All right. So, next one is, as a creative with social media presence, where do you draw the line of vulnerability/authenticity when sharing your life? how much is too much as a professional, in your opinion?
So
that is not a question for me. Y'all go for it.
when I do show outside of where I live, like outside the house, I make sure to never show street signs. Like when I go on walks and stuff, it's mostly filming my shoes and Roy, and not street signs. Just for not doxing myself as much. I never show the house number on the house. I also try to like I filmed a timer that was my view from my window in Toronto, and it's live now, but like I didn't have it live while I was living there because there was a distinct church in the view. It's like people can find me. So yeah, just be careful that way with doxing yourself. But also with the vulnerability and authenticity, just I think sometimes we need to see the vulnerable side of a lot of this because it is hard. It is emotional. Things don't go your way nearly half the time. Like, it is really hard. And so I think to show other people like you're not the only one, I think is very helpful. And I think that authenticity is so nice just to be able to see how people do come up with their story ideas, and it's not about promoting a sponsored product, but like how do you actually do it regularly, and things like that. Just being your regular self is really nice, but there should be a line where you don't have to share all of your personal info of like family drama and health scares and stuff like that if you don't want to. Like that's not your audience's business. Like you're an author tube channel. You're there for the writing creativity aspect. And so like Kate Kavanaugh didn't tell us she was married for years. So like you don't have to go that far into sharing personal everyday info. You don't have to say where you work your day job. You don't have to go into all of the stuff besides your writing. And some people are very guarded about what they share about their writing in general. Some people will give you initials for a project name or color for a project name, and they might tell you the genre and that's it. I think there's a wide variety of people with different comfort levels. So do what's comfortable for you that lets you be able to sleep at night and not have stress. Because personally, I don't like when I don't know anything about a project because then I can't root for it because it's just this epic unknown entity. But if I know the genre, if I know some of not just tropes, but like the vibes of what's going on, like if there's a blurb out for it, like that gets me excited. And I will root for it and I'll watch all the videos because I want to know how it's going and what's the ups and downs because like it's a gothic story. I also write gothic. I want to know how they're tackling the gothic. Things like that. So yeah, I've prattled away. Anybody else?
Of course, as soon as I unmute, she shakes. I am with Laura. It's what you're comfortable with. Like, I share just about anything. And if somebody asks me about something, I usually tell them. But I also don't want to overshare to bore people. So most of the time I have to be asked, or whenever I share stuff, it's because I'm giving a reason why this happened or that happened or something like that.
So I'm pretty much an open book. What I did was a lot of my writing is cathartic anyway. So when I opened my medium, it was a method of getting some stuff out that I felt other people might be going through and other people might actually see happening. And so that's where that came from. And it actually, I mean, it actually works. I when people can relate to you better, then they're more willing to be part of your community, for one thing. But I mean, like I said, do it really as I didn't do it really as a business situation. I did it because I wanted to have that feeling of community of other people seeing and finding out, hey, are you seeing this too? Is this what's happening? Where you're concerned, or also when it comes to health situation, I'd never heard of the situations that I had, and I wanted to make sure other people knew about it and were like aware, hey, how important your eye checks are, because who knew, that you could get what amounts to a type of skin cancer in your eye. Didn't know that. That's a new thing. So there was that. Also, I've just always been, I've since working in the healthcare field and helping to create the patient advocacy program at a couple of the hospitals I've worked at. It's like I didn't leave off with that. I still publish articles, hey, telling people, hey, this new program's here, or hey, don't forget to look this up if you're having trouble affording your medications, or things like that. So it's like that's all part of me. That's part of who I am, and so, and politics included, it gets aired out there, and because I started that way, I don't see the need to not continue that way. That doesn't mean that I bring that up in everything I do. I do understand how to be civil around people who are not of like mind. I do understand how to be professional. So it's a line that you have to make sure that you are very aware of when you're doing things like what we're doing. As to the practical side of it, like Laura was talking about, it's like yeah, I have a specific type of mailbox that allows me to get mail not at my own home. I have Google has a thing that allows you to choose your own phone number that is free. So you can use a professional phone number that is provided by that service, Google Voice. So you don't have to, even though legally on your emails and stuff like that, you've got to have your address. You can use that kind of an address instead of your actual address, so you're not doxing yourself. People know that I live in North Carolina. So I'm not shy about saying that, I live in North Carolina. After all, I'll toss out events that I'm going to be at and things like that all the time. But I don't go into specifics with anybody that's outside of my little group of trusted people.
Like Rach, my stroke, it was literally the beginning of my writer's journey because I had to learn to reuse language. And so stroke survivor, migraine overcomer, those are part of my brand. because the whole writing thing is part of my literally recovering from should have been dead at the bus stop moment. And but I'm very transparent about it, but I don't go into a lot of the other issues that I have with it. I'm very much the kind of person that tries not to complain about it. Is when I'm having a bad day, I will tell you I'm having a bad day. Like today, I've been without any effective migraine medicine for going on 2 weeks at this point. So pretty much I'm ready to scrape my own brain out with a grapefruit spoon, which can go in Laura's next Tiny Shivers book. So yeah, but my stroke is part of my branding because I try to have this very positive, self-affirming message that you too can overcome. You too can make it through this. If you are going through health issues, you are not alone. But I am very careful to not have that I'm just whining all the time line crossed over. My social media is much more about the books. My streams are much more about books and writing process. And so showing that you're a person, that you're not just a salesman trying to sell them something. You don't want to be that sales bot that is spamming everybody's stream with your book content, your writing content 24/7. You need, and that was something, because I always held things very, I talked about my stroke, but I tended to hold it much closer to my vest. And opening up about the process of going through and struggling with the disability is a valid part of our writer process, and making and humanizing us, because to share your experiences is a normal part of human reaction. But in our writer world, it shouldn't be the main focus of your channels. You don't want to come off as just whining constantly about your health and not actually talking about writing process or the books that you are working on. So yeah, just people need to find that balance for themselves. And there are some people who share absolutely nothing about their personal lives. And that is okay too, because we do live in a world where, if Laura were to show herself walking Roy, this is my walk to the park and stuff like that. Google Earth Street View means you can literally find the facade of a building she passes, drop yourself in front of that building, and then click to walk backwards or forwards along her path to literally find her house. And fortunately, I won't say this name, but all of us know her. A certain redhead author tuber had to move out of her apartment over a week because she ended up with a stalker showing up at her place, at her door. And that is the terrifying part of it. Where I live, there's brown fields, lots of brown fields, very flat place. So, I've got a pretty good area, but especially if you live in a city or a town with distinct buildings, with a distinct landmark, it becomes very, very easy. I know a half a dozen Colorado, or a lot more than that. I know a bunch of Colorado authors, and we all know each other as Colorado authors. But we keep our exact locations very close to the vest, because in the olden times, we didn't have a thing where you could literally drop in the picture of a building, get the address of that building, and then drop yourself on the street virtually in front of that building, and then walk left or right to find the place where someone you saw lives. So it's, yeah, there are crazy. Yeah, Mel's right. There are crazies out there, and aren't always attracted to the super famous. And it's a difficult balancing act between being a relatable human and being a sales bot.
Yeah. It is very easy to find information about other people. My dad tells stories about his past and names his friends and the people that he works with. And just on a whim, I did a Google search for one of his guys because he wanted to know if he was still alive or dead because he hadn't talked to him in like 20 years. And it took me 12 minutes. And that dude had no social media, nothing. He's older generation, so he had nothing on there. But I found his wife's obituary, and therefore I found his address, and I found his son. So, I mean, you can find things about people, and it's just a simple Google search. So be very careful, but share what you feel comfortable sharing. Dawn says, we talk a lot about our lives, so maybe just not our exact address. Sako says, I show the bad days, but people are not entitled to the grief that I feel. I haven't written in my Substack in like months because I've been grieving. That is definitely understandable. Definitely understandable. Kat says the idea bashes me in the head, and then no matter what, refuses to leave. She's got to share it. Cat Paw says, I haven't blogged for months. I just don't feel I have anything to say right now, or the world is spinning so fast, things are out of date by tomorrow, and everyone's moved on. Yeah. Did I encourage I got you.
Like last week, I finally posted my 2024 postmortem. So like, we'll still watch it, even if it's months late. Just go for it. If it's what you want to make a video on, go for it.
Yep. Maggie pulling double duty. Dawn says, I'm not secretive about myself, but some of myself is just an ask and I'll tell you kind of thing. I'm an open book. Just ask. And got Eva in here. Cat Paul says, I'm still looking for gigs and work. What I used to do has been absorbed by AI. Yeah. Sewing repairs isn't enough, and selling crafts is not an option when there's no working. Postal service. Gotcha. No one wants to wait for months or pay and $100 per package. Yeah, that hurts. Eva says, I'll draw it where I want to in any given moment. I don't mind sharing personal things, but there is much more I don't share, same as the rest. But I'm not the sort of professional that follows the rules of professionals. I just qualify because I'm paid for my work. Cat Paul says, I don't want to remind people or specify my disabilities, but anyone can ask me about it, and I will answer honestly. Just be prepared for the truth, and it ain't pretty. Truth is never pretty. This could be a line that you could easily tell people. Too much is maybe whatever falls outside your target audience. So yeah, Eva's kind of like writers, women, writerly moms, parents, grandparents. Yeah. Heather says, because I felt so alone back when I had cancer, I talk about getting screenings done because I felt alone when I was a mom of a disabled kid. I talk about that. Yeah.
That's how I feel. I think that Heather and I relate a lot because we both have autistic children, and it's a struggle when you're surrounded by people who seem to be so normal on the outside and they don't share any of their problems, and you're just like, am I the only one going through this? That kind of thing.
Yeah, addresses are public information. So are most people's phone numbers. still, even though we don't have phone books technically anymore. Yeah.
We actually
yeah.
got one last year delivered to our house randomly.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, this is still a thing?
That's pretty cool. I don't think, let's see, when we were at the apartment, the last phone book that we got out there was 2016, maybe. And then after that, we didn't get any more. Maybe 2017. I can't remember. Let's see. All right. So, here's a good last question here. I have 40,000 plus words and I know the ending. How do you pad out your novel to make it fit into genre expectations for word count when you're an underwriter?
B plots, all the B plots.
If you have enough space for a B plot, if not, I would ask somebody to read it that is unbiased, a beta reader, for instance, someone that can tell you what your weakness is. Is it dialogue? Is it description? Is it that you're moving your pace is too fast? Things like that. Then that way you can tackle those by adding more of those or doing work on those to the manuscript.
For me, my first draft is always my smallest draft. So if this is your first draft, just go with the ending that you've got and finish it out, and then sit on it. Maybe have somebody read it, and when you go back in for revisions, it'll flesh out. Whether it is more description and another B plot, or realizing that you want to extend the storyline. So for my middle grade, my midpoint was originally my finale, but it was too short. So then I extended the book. I made the finale the midpoint and went crazy from there. So, just make sure that that you have a finished draft, no matter how long it is, because
Agreed.
You can't fix it and stuff until you have a draft. So if you don't, you'll be stuck in the revising the first couple of chapters, and then it just never actually finally finishes for years. Ask me how I know. Yeah. Finish it first. Worry about it later.
Totally agree with that. I don't have this problem because I'm an overwriter. The shortest book I've written is the one that I just finished, and it's at 31,000 words, and it's a novella, and I wanted it to be a novella. So we're good. But yeah, definitely just go ahead and finish it. And like Rach and Laura said, sit on it for a little while, have somebody else read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My first draft of my middle grade was 19K. I was like, dang
it. Oh, I can't even. You guys know my struggle. I'm a notorious overwriter. I overwrite books to the point that I have to split them into 2 or 3 books. So, yeah, it's my thing is the story journey is more than just point A to point B. Maybe take your characters off for a little sightseeing. You're not just on the interstate. You're in a world to explore. So, a little bit of purple prose just makes your story prettier. We're not talking about like grape jam and blueberry salad. We're talking about just a little bit of extra color.
And you can always do a study of just life in general, because we don't live life in a straight line. We do all kinds of things, and anything can happen to us at any given point in the day. So just throw a couple of random things that happen during the day, and there's you another 2, 3, maybe 4,000 words. And granted, some people might say that that doesn't work, that shouldn't fit in the story, but it's also character development, and it makes your character relatable as well. So, yeah, don't go crazy. Just
I mean, yeah, those B plots that turn into C and D plots after a while. So far, I've not had any complaints, but just that's the reason I say be aware, be careful, because we had a B plot that turned into a C plot and then took over the next novel. So yeah.
Let's see. Eva says, I don't know. I have to read it and put in notes on where and when to adjust the pacing. My brain just does it on its own. Rachel Syme, she has like the archetypes of writing or something like that. And that's.
Is it Becca Syme?
Becca
Syme. Becca Syme. Yeah. Sorry. It's been a while since I've watched any of her videos. But yeah, she calls that an intuitive writer whenever you just know how to write the story kind of thing. It just comes to you. Don't be a cat and publish it and be like, crap, now the ideas come. Yeah, and Goosebumps was only 23K, so there are shorter books out there.
But the agent feedback I was getting was this should be 40K.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was like, shoot. So now it's like 38K. So
you're close, so close. Yeah. Make the story the length it is, and then do the next one longer if you want. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Don says, well, we start with the idea as a small thing, and it just kind of ends up another book. And we're like, this wasn't supposed to be a small part of the other story. And we're like, yeah, but it's not.
Hence our prequel series. We were just supposed to be writing the history and background, because everybody tells you, well, you should have a story Bible with all your characters' histories and stuff. And we have been very vague up until that point. Now, everybody's going to know what happened.
All right. Okay. So is there anything else that y'all want to discuss, or do you think we have time for another question?
we can do one more.
Do one more? Everybody okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
Plenty of time.
All right. So next one. How do you determine chapter length, and should they all be about the same?
Nope.
That's short and simple.
I'm the outlier in this because I like my chapters to be within like 500 words of being the same length of all the other chapters. But that's the OCD in me. That is, I will totally admit that is the OCD in me going, why is this chapter 2 pages and this chapter 20 pages? And I struggle with that because in all of my books, my chapters are roughly 2,500 to 3,000 words. So I try to fall into this like 500 word range between those two numbers are my sweet spots. So somewhere between 26 and 31 is usually where I fall. There are some I can't remember which one it is, but there is one of my books where all of the chapters are within 200 words of each other. But the most important thing is it a natural break point for the chapter flow? And as a former Wattpad writer, and Inket writer, and serial writer, I tend to like leave every other chapter like hanging on either a cliffy or on like a dialogue that leaves you going, oh, I have to go to the next chapter to find out where this is going.
Yeah. I like to break chapters where there's a thread to pull people through. So it's not necessarily like a literal cliffhanger. It could be a micro cliffhanger. But I'm one of the people who likes a little bit more experimental work with the fiction. So, like, I like chapters. If it is going to be a short punch, just give me that short little scene and just smack me in the face with it. If the person, I think it was Twilight did this with the depressed character, was just a month of a blank page. I really like that. Just to do, like, I don't know. I like things to be, I don't know. My brain.
So, like Sako said on here, and I have to say, I think that's kind of what I do, is my action sequences, unless I combine several points of view in a chapter, the action sequences and also the villain sequences tend to be a little bit shorter than the sequences with the main characters or the focus characters. Things that are really, really majorly character building versus fast paced. So, but at the same time, I'm with you guys too in that I do try to extend so that it's not, like 2 paragraphs and that's it for a chapter. I can't do that. Like, again, I don't have OCD, but at the same time, it's that inner voice that's like, you can't do that. That's not right. And I admit that as a beta reader, when I do intensive beta reads, I will tell people, hey, maybe you should take this and put it with the next chapter because it's a little short. Like, I don't like, my brain doesn't like something that's maybe 500 words to 1,000 words when all the rest of the chapters around it are like 2,500 to 3,000 or something. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite where that's concerned. But at the same time, I'm like, you really, if it can be included with something else or it doesn't even need to be there at all, I'll cut it. But I'm an overwriter, so don't listen to me if you're having trouble getting more words. I tend to overdo it.
I can't hear you.
I kind of have my chapters in the same length, but my scene breaks. I can have a scene that's only like 3 chapters because maybe it's the villain's point of view, or maybe something random happens or something like that, and then I go on with the rest of the chapter after the scene break. And if you hear Hunter howling, I'm sorry. But yeah, and sometimes you need a 1-page chapter. Negatory. Eva says, I like short chapters, so I aim for short chapters. I do like consistent links, but with an outlier or 2. Yeah. 2 to 3.5K is probably my range without feeling like it's either too short or too long. And as a reader, if a chapter is, like, I read a chapter that was 30 pages long one time, and it drove me nuts. Because I'm one of those that I read one chapter a night or 2 chapters a night or something like that. So if one chapter is 30 pages long, you're eating into my bedtime. And I don't like that.
Brandon Sanderson is famous for doing chapters with irregular lengths. I mean, he'll have. I think he's got like a 5,000 word spread between his chapter lengths. I don't know what his numbers are, but some of his chapters will be like 5,000 words longer. And the other thing is, writers, we need to consider that. We did the story in parts. We did not go write the entire story in one sitting. So we need to think about a thing called reader fatigue, and that's where readers, some readers, they need to just have that bite size. They need to have that bite-sized chapter length and a chapter that just goes on and on and on and on. And I know there's a book out there with no chapters. I can't think of the name of it. Laura might know, but there's a writer wrote a book with no chapters.
Terry Pratchett.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of the book though.
It's just, and you want to talk about getting writer fatigue. Finding a place where you can just stop is a real struggle for readers. So as authors, this falls into what are author responsibilities to the reader to make the book more enjoyable to readers. Now, I have said many times, I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert. This is just my opinion. But as a reader, there are times when I'm just like, I cannot read anymore on this. I have, like I said, I have OCD goal brain, and my brain is, I start a task, must finish the task. And it's, I've, been on the verge of DNFing things because I just got too tired from reading like a super, super long chapter. Stormlight Archives has some long freaking chapters, bookended by short chapters. And the disparity, what am I trying to say? The difference between the two of them, it drags on you. So as writers, just think about your readers. Think about the genre. There are actual genre expectations for chapter lengths, and it's like, don't be the person that is writing a multiple POV book and just puts in 3 lines from their serial killer and call that a chapter.
No, why not?
Because while it is interesting, it is very interesting. After the 4th or 5th time it happens, the reader gets kind of cranky.
It breaks me out of the moment. If I was telling them in the chat, it's like, I'm fine if it's meant that way and it's done purposely and it's very important that happened that particular way. But if you keep doing it, no, please don't.
So I don't see anything in my mind when I read. And so I am appreciating the book for the way that it's structured on the page in front of me. So I'm more experimental leaning in appreciation. So I don't know. It doesn't pull me out because I wasn't immersed in a world anyway. So yeah.
Okay. And also what you're actually writing, because Mel here is a comic writer. So she's doing comic scripts. And in order to publish them, you have to have a certain number of pages for each episode kind of thing. So yeah, it's know what your readers will expect.
I think in Brandon, I think it's this Brandon Sanderson is doing another free class on his
Yes.
YouTube channel.
He is, yeah.
And one of the things he talked about was the business of authordom and how expensive printing actually is. And if you write a page that is one paragraph on a page and consider that a chapter, then you have the entire rest of that page blank, and you're paying money for the rest of the page that you aren't using.
Hmm.
So there's also the business angle to look at, because say you've got a book that's 40 chapters. 20 of the chapters are less than a full printed page. You're paying for that. You're paying for that blank. You're paying for what in the media they call dead air. So, yeah, reader fatigue is a real thing, and there is also the business end to consider. So, just as an author, there's no right or wrong rules for that. But if you do something completely outside the norm for your chapter links, be ready for the flashback, because there's always the Karen reader that's going to call you out on something.
Always.
And there's
You cannot
also,
make everybody happy.
what is it? Dangles and hangers are what they call things that are left from a chapter that go onto just the very top of one page for the next page.
Yeah, widows and orphans. Yeah.
And just don't leave. They're always like, don't, if you don't have a third of the page covered, change your spacing size to accommodate it.
Yeah. Or you could do just like this, but this is a classic. So this is 1984, and he doesn't have his chapters on a separate page. They
Yeah,
just,
the
yeah.
chapters don't start on a new page.
Well, they do, but okay, never mind. I was wrong. He has really long chapters, but if he had broken them up like normal people would have, then yeah. Let's see. Eva says, I feel like this is a good example of how writers are harsher on us than non-writers are when it comes to our books. Chapter length. Yep. Please give me stopping points. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be chapters. It just, just give me like stopping points. That would be great, because I don't want to stop my reading in the middle of a scene. And so I read a book. Oh, I think it was last year actually. And it was a great book, fantastic. But at the same time, there were some chapters that I was like, I'm going to reach through this book and slap you if you would just please get to your point. Please get to the end. Because like a lot of you, I read like at night right before going to bed, and it's like my eyes are tired. I can't read as much as I used to. So it's like, please get to a stopping point. Please just don't make it the Odyssey, please.
Making a movie of it.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, I think it's the guy who did the Batman Inception.
Nolan?
Yeah, Christopher Nolan.
Really?
Yeah, he's doing the Odyssey.
I mean, now I'm curious because I actually liked his stuff. So.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Let's see. Kat says there are certain books I cannot physically read, but can read via audiobook, like the Tolkien. I can listen and enjoy, but to physically read, I am nauseous. I get that. Long chapters have a big expectation for me, and I have definitely stopped reading a book because I had to stop before a stopping point. Mel likes
It's
shorter chapters.
I found the cast.
Okay.
Sorry. The guy playing Odysseus is Matt Damon.
Really?
Yeah.
Who
Everybody
else?
else is listed, but not who they're playing. We got Elliot Page, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Mia Goth, John Leguizamo.
So it's an A-list,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's either going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's supposed to be 2026.
Yeah, I'm interested in it now.
I
watch classic movies like that because I want to make fun of them.
wonder if they're going to get the monsters right.
July 17th, 2026, even. And it's being
Wow.
filmed in Turkey.
Turkey makes an amazing amount of money for movies because so much of it is godforsaken desert.
Yeah, this waxing
No one
poetic
complained.
on a chair. What?
My one complaint about Anne Rice. I love Anne Rice, and I do a lot of the book setups like Anne Rice, but no, not that. Not that much.
Yeah. Okay. Don't need to know the feel of a carpet. I gotcha. Cat Paw watched Bodies this week and loved it, so are written, acted, and wonderfully twisted plots. I like it.
I'm sorry,
that's
my
pretty
dog
cool.
is wanting me to leave, so she
No, you're good.
knows that she can pull my mic cord.
It's good. Kona is also bugging to be let outside. So, if everybody would like to do their outro, we will let everybody go so the dogs can be happy.
Dogs must be happy.
My doggos are staring in the office window at me going, yeah, come open the door. Open the door. There's Roy. Such a good boy.
Apparently, he was very melancholy while I was gone.
Aww.
Just laying around the house.
Alright.
Sweet pea.
So who wants to go first?
You.
Me?
Capture the Empress, the Bell Witch. I'm no hero.
Yeah. All three of my books are on sale. The link is in the chat, but I will post it again. Hey, there's the one. But ebooks are free from today until the 8th. Also, if you are interested, HB90, the sign up is live, and the class starts on the 15th at 1 p.m. instead of noon this time. So link should be down below, but it's in all of my other videos if it is not, and I'll let everybody else do their outro.
Hello, lovelies. Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer, and yeah, I have books. I have free books this weekend. Don't spend money. Go to my Amazon page, get a couple of free books, and I'll see you all tomorrow night on Writer Sanctuary's channel for my live interview by fellow author Michael Brochak. And yeah, happy weekend.
Yay, weekend. I'm Laura Nettles. I have a horror collection out called Tiny Shivers, and I'm querying a middle grade called Seeds of Doubt, and I am on draft 2 of Crimson Strings, which is a vampire paranormal romance, and with a ton of fantasy. So, fun times. And yeah, I don't know where I am next. We shall see. I need to make a schedule.
I'm Rachel D. Adams, or Rach in the writing community. I do as much as I can to make sure that everybody gets boosted and lots of attention that they deserve, because I know how much work goes into writing. I also have several outlets for my media, whether it be Medium, Substack. We also sell our books from racheldadams.com. If you need a link, I'm sure Sam has already provided that. And yeah, just here to help out with anybody's questions and also learn a little bit myself. See you next time.
Yeah. We will see you next Sunday, either right here on this channel or on one of my co-host channel. And bye. Have a good one.